Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your libertarian car guy, and I'm inspired to do a little bit of a rant this morning that was motivated by this truck that's in front of me with the bed full of logs. Not the truck per se, but the impossibility of being able to pass this guy. It's not the truck's fault. He's loaded. He's having to drive kind of slow, particularly around the curves. But every single time that I've come to a passing zone, there's been a car coming the other direction. Now, I can remember when I was a kid and I grew up in the Northern Virginia area, and the same thing started to happen. And I knew that it was the beginning of the end. Here in rural Southwest Virginia, the same thing is starting to happen. Lived here 15 years now, and when I first moved here, you could pass at will. There was almost never anybody coming in the opposite lane. So you had freedom of action. Lately, I've noticed that there's somebody coming in the other direction almost every single time when I want to pass. And it's Saturday morning. It's only 7:14 in the morning. You'd think there wouldn't be that many cars out on the road. And of course, right now, there's nobody coming. But it's a double yellow, and I can't legally pass. Every single time I've come to a passing zone, there are three on the way down the mountain, there's been a car coming the other direction. And I had these hallucinations of being a kid again up in Northern Virginia and remembering how that was a foreboding taste of the lifestyle apocalypse when things started to get really crappy. Any area, once the population gets to a certain critical mass density, things start to go downhill. You're constantly stuck in traffic. You're constantly having to deal with Clovers. Pass one Clover and there's another Clover up ahead, and then you can't get around that Clover because there's another Clover coming in the other direction. And it's not just driving that becomes less enjoyable. Everything else becomes less enjoyable too. You get Clovers agitating for more government services, and so the taxes start to go up, the regulations start to go up. I live in a county that for the moment has no zoning regulations whatsoever, so for the moment I'm still free to do more or less whatever I want to on my land that I paid for. If I feel like putting up a shed, I don't have to go hat in hand begging to some government bureaucracy or some HOA, filling out forms and begging them for permission to do something on my land that I paid for. Northern Virginia, you do have to do those things. I suspect that that's going to be the fate of Southwest Virginia too. The population continues to grow, and unfortunately, population increase inevitably means a decrease in the quality of life. Yeah, you can get access to things like Chinese food at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can get fancier things than you could in a rural area. But for me personally, the price is too high. The only upside to it is that once things get too obnoxious here, the very same people who've ruined the area will also drive up the price of real estate, and I'll be able to sell my place for a ridiculous sum of money to some Northern Virginia carpetbagger, and then pack my bags and head off to someplace extraordinarily rural, which will hopefully stay that way for the rest of my life, and I can live out the rest of my days free of Clovers. Anyway, that's the rant for today. Thanks for listening, and go on down to epautos.com for more, and we'll catch up with you again soon.